Making your own sprouts is an excellent way not only to get lots of different kinds of flavors for your salads or even your sandwiches, but also a great way to boost the nutrition to your food and save some money. So let's first talk about some of the different kinds of sprouts that are out there. Most people are very familiar with things like alfalfa sprouts, but there's also clover sprouts and things like broccoli sprouts. This one here is a mixture with alfalfa, clover, broccoli, kale, a little bit of amaranth in there as well. I also have ones here that are different kinds of beans if you want kind of more of a protein base. And I even have a kale microgreens that are here. So you can literally, this is from a company called Botanical Interests. I have no, I get no kickbacks or anything from saying that. This is just like a place that you can buy sprouts. Handy Pantry is another company. There's a lot of different companies where you can get sprouts from just the seeds. Now, just talking about the sizes, this package here is a 20-gram package. So that's just under 1 ounce. And this will make quite a number of sprouts. And it's $4.60. If you buy a big package, kind of like this is 8 ounces of some sprouting seeds, and this package here is about $8. So you can only buy maybe 2 of these kinds of packages to equal the amount that would come in here. So if you're going to make a lot of volume of sprouts, it's definitely a better bargain to buy them in these larger quantities. So there's a lot of different kinds of sprouts that are available, and you can experiment with the flavors that you like. You can certainly start with things like alfalfa or mung beans, things along those lines if you're more familiar with those flavors. So how do you make your sprouts? You do need a couple of things. One is you'll need something like a mason jar. And I'm going to move some of these things here. So I did order these jars from a company here called Sprout Ease. You do not have to buy these. There's a lot of different ways that you can sort of do this. But what I like about it is it came with a couple of different lids. So this first lid, as you can see, has very tiny little perforations in here. And this is great for really tiny little seeds like clover or alfalfa. And then the number 2, this is a little bit bigger one. And so you can use these for larger seeds like sunflower seeds, that sort of thing. But the idea behind this particular system was that you start with lid number 1 and you soak your seeds, and then as the sprouts get bigger, then you move to lid number 2. And if you have something with really large seed casings, such as like sunflower seeds, then eventually you can switch to lid number 3, which has a much larger perforation in it. And the idea is that then as you rinse these things, you can give things a good shake, and some of the little hull outer casings of the seeds, you can kind of get rid of them that way. But there are metal-based, stainless steel-based ones with like a stainless steel mesh, kind of like you might use for like a spaghetti strainer or a vegetable strainer. There's a lot of different options out there. If you really wanted, you could just take an old lid and make a bunch of holes with like a hammer and nail and go for it that way. You don't have to buy anything. You can use what you have, but if you want, you can buy something that is a little bit nicer, and you don't have to spend a day poking holes. So what you want to do, and each seeds you would want to kind of experiment with it. but you would start with a very small amount of seeds. I would suggest using maybe like 1 to 2 tablespoons worth of seeds, and you're going to put them in the bottom of your jar. And then you want to soak them overnight in some water. And that is going to activate the seed into starting to sprout. And basically every day, at least twice a day. If you can do it more, great. If you can't, twice a day will work just fine. You want to rinse your seeds and then drain the excess water out. Now, I store these, and I'm just going to move this so that you can see what I have done. I just have a little Tupperware style container. This is actually upcycled from like a package of deli meat. Many people have these kinds of things in their homes, and I use this. This is actually just the perfect size for me to put this on an angle, and I can even do two different jars here. So I can either have a variety of different flavors or start one and then maybe 3-4 days later start something else, so that I always kind of have something going. And that way you can always have sprouts depending on how quickly you go through them in your home. But I put them here at this angle so that any water can kind of continue to drain from this, as well as there to be some airflow within these jars. Now, depending on the type of seed that you are using, it is going to probably take at least 2 days, maybe a little bit longer, for the seeds to start sprouting. Now, I have found that things like these sunflower seeds take a lot longer. Maybe it's because the outer hull is so hard. I'm not sure. These might just be kind of some older seeds, but the bigger the seed, the harder the outer casing is of that seed, the longer it's in general going to take to start sprouting and to get to a size that you want to eat. And if I kind of come over here to these clover sprouts, you can see that there are some seeds that just didn't germinate. They just didn't sprout. And so these here, these are kind of the size that I want. They're ready to harvest and for me to eat in my sandwiches. And you can give this a really, really good rinse underneath the sink and just try to wash away any of the little seeds that just didn't germinate, or you can leave them there. That's a personal preference. It'll give you a little bit of extra crunch that will be there in your sprouts. Now, it's really important when you are buying seeds, and I am going to just kind of turn this over because I like the wording that's on here. So where it says this at the very bottom, sprout seed safety. So in order for something to be labeled as a seed to use for either microgreens or for sprouting, they need to test negative for things like E. coli and other kinds of bacteria that can make you really, really sick. So you don't have to do anything to disinfect these seeds. It should already be negative for those kinds of bacteria anyway. So the difference between a seed that is labeled for sprouting versus a seed that is labeled for microgreens. You can use something that's labeled for microgreens for making sprouts. But the difference between a sprout and a microgreen, and I'm going to flip this over just so you can see, is that the idea with microgreens is you're actually planting them. And then as they grow, you can just kind of very gently clip and trim them off. So they do have, you put out a little bit more of a root more quickly than a sprout would. But you can use them for either. I don't let them get so big that that the little root part bothers me at all. It's just pretty much the same flavor. It's just a slightly different consistency, but you may want to harvest these a little bit more quickly than you would based on what it says here on the package. So this is saying you're going to harvest them after 10 to 15 days after they've started sprouting. And that's the point where you can clip them, and then hopefully they will grow back for you. So you're just starting to get the true leaves from these seedlings. Okay, so hey, if you like sprouts, then hopefully this information will be very helpful for you. As you see, this is a really economical thing to do. And if you found this helpful, hey, follow me for more tips and tricks about health, wellness, diet, exercise, all that kind of stuff, and have a great day.